Following on from my first look review of these fantastic Radiomaster AG01 gimbals, I'm going to show you how to fit and calibrate them. And I'll also be looking at any potential drift problems. And while the radio was apart, I fitted these super Larry gimbal disco lights. Hello and welcome to the Whirlybloke channel. This is YouTube, you know what to do. So to get this apart is pretty straightforward. You've got to get these side plates off. Now they don't hold or hide any screws, but they do hold the front halves together, and I'm using a plastic spudger for this, or a fingernail, or whatever you want to use. Good idea not to use anything metal really. And these just prise off. There we go. Good idea to take the battery out, just in case. Oh, actually you do need to take it out to get the back cover off. Forgotten about that. So it's just 4 screws holding this together. And these 2 screws on the top, you don't need to take them out, but yes, it makes life a lot easier if you just loosen them off a bit. It means this top plate can move about. Now I can't quite remember on the Radiomaster, but I think it's slightly different. Anyway, this should just lift out now. I think I will take this crossfire module out, and then you just pry this up, and that's why it's useful to have that a little bit loose, because it just pulls it out. You've got a couple of connections here for the speaker, just disconnect those. Placing the gimbals is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is disconnect the gimbal wires themselves. Generally not a good idea to pull them out with the wire by the wires. Use something to pry them out. And there's 4 screws holding these in. 3 are easy to get to, and the other one is a bit of a pain in the neck. So where are we? So we've got this damping oil here, and you just need to take a little slither of that. You don't need to go mad with this stuff. And these 2 tension bars here, this one on this side here is for the actual stiffness, and this one here, if you wind that screw down, that gives you the notchy feel, which I don't like. So you can just put a little bit of this just underneath between this plastic part here and the tension spring, torsion spring, whatever you want to call it. You don't need very much. There we go. And that feels about right for me. So now I'm going to fit these gimbal LEDs, which I saw, and they look pretty good actually. They're not expensive, can't remember how much they are. I'll leave some links in the description with, let's show you so you can find the latest prices. Okay, so that goes that way round onto there. That goes LEDs down and that way around. Little cutouts down here. Okay, that's good. Those fit on there. Okay, so the power for these comes off this connector here, which that just plugs onto that way around. There we go. Okay, so let's get these screws in. It's easy to put these in before you fit the gimbal, to be honest. Especially this one in this corner. There we go, that's all screwed up. These don't need to be super tight, just nip them up and make sure that you route this cable underneath this gimbal here, and that's all flush. Fantastic. You may find, because this is pushing these back, I may need to actually lengthen these a little bit, but that's dead easy. Okay, so this now routes under here, under this cable. So now's the time just to double check that you've got the tension on these, well, not the tension but the smoothness, stiffness if you like, by adjusting this one, and that is fine for me. That's great. So let's get the other one fitted. Okay, so that's got that wired up. The power on this side goes there, that's for the gimbal LEDs. Next stay down here, and this needs to be routed down under that cable to keep it out of the way when the gimbals are moving. And that plugs in there. Right, now that's all back together, I need to calibrate the gimbals. This is pretty straightforward. If you turn your radio on, these do look good.
Welcome to OpenTX.
And you
Filter warning.
You hit the system menu and page right until you get to hardware and calibration. So you just press return. Press enter to start. So it says center sticks, pots, sliders, and press enter. So we put that in the middle. That's in the middle already. Those are in the middle, and the little ones at the side. It's good. Press return. Move the sticks and pots and sliders and press enter. Now when you do this, don't go mad, don't press it really hard against the end stop, just gently move it to the end on everything. There we go. And these pots. There we go, fantastic. And press enter. That's it. So if we come out of there, now the important thing to do is look down here. So if we look, the throttle is on minus 100%, plus 100%, yaw, minus 100%, yaw, plus 100%, pitch, plus 100%, minus 100%, roll, minus 100%, and plus 100%. So that's nicely calibrated. Hall sensor gimbals are generally considered to be better than the cheaper potentiometer equivalents, and that's mainly because they don't wear out and need replacing. But also because there's no physical contact, the movement is smoother and it just feels so much better. That's why they're popular. And these Radiomaster Hall Sensor Gimbals are no exception. They just feel great. Plus, they've got those high quality bearings and the super stiff CNC aluminium frame. So there's no nasty little wobbles or play anywhere. But are Hall Sensor Gimbals more accurate? Well, it's a sort of yes and no answer. A Hall effect sensor is just a piece of electronics that senses the distance of a magnetic field from the sensor. And because it's electronics, it's susceptible to drift as the temperature changes. Potentiometer gimbals are affected by temperature, just like everything else, but nowhere near as much. And early versions of Hall effect gimbals suffered quite badly from temperature drift. And although it's not something you'd feel while you're out flying, what happened was you go out in the field where it's a little bit colder and you get that throttle warning message when you turn the radio on.
Throttle warning.
Or even you find that the throttle idle was a bit high. And that's because the minimum setting on the throttle had drifted. Now, this can be compensated for in the electronics of the Hall sensor itself, but those sensors are a little bit more expensive. So, do these suffer from drift? I can't do a full laboratory test on one of these, but I do have a fridge. Now, I calibrated these a little while ago, as you saw, and in here it's about 20 degrees C. So I'm going to simulate going outside on a cold day. I'm going to put this in the fridge for half an hour and see what happens. This is pretty cold now. Don't get it too cold, you get all sorts of condensation in there. Just leave it in the fridge for, half an hour. And let's turn this on.
Welcome to OpenTX.
It's still working, which is good. Okay, so let's see where we are. Throttle, it's still minus 100%, plus 100%. Yaw is minus 100%, plus 100%. Pitch, plus 100%, minus 100%. And roll, minus 100%, and plus 100%. That looks pretty good to me. Like I said, not exactly a scientific test, but it's practical. And these look just fine, and I'm really happy with them. And these gimbal LED disco lights, they look awesome. When I did my first look video at these, I got loads of emails and comments about where to buy them. Because Radiomaster sent me them very early, they were only available from Radiomaster Direct. But they're starting to hit the shops now with discounts for buying a complete set, and I'll leave some links in the description. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.